Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Ian.is Weirdo. So today I have a bit of a confession. It's not that deep, so don't worry about it. But I have some yarn. I have a lot of yarn. But I have some yarn that I buy kind of like, because it's just beautiful. It makes my brain explode with like possibilities. I buy it, and then I don't know how to use it. And so if anyone could give me some tips, that would be amazing. Um, and this will be like kind of like a little mini series, I think, because there's a lot of yarn that I don't actually know how to use. Which I know sounds stupid, but like, we'll get into that. We'll get into that. So I'm going to start the series with self-striping yarn. I love it. It's beautiful. It makes my heart so happy to see colors change and like just the different like when I see other people use self-striping yarn, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. I'm gonna do the thing, and ugh. But then I buy the yarn and I try to think of projects that I can use that yarn with, and I have no fucking idea what to do. So maybe you can help me out or just help me reframe my thinking when it comes to self-striping yarn. So I'm going to show you a couple different examples. I'll tell you kind of things that I've tried to do in the past that like have either worked or they haven't worked, or I don't know. So the first is longer striping, like medium to long striping yarn. So a couple of the examples I'm going to use. So first of all, we have these two self-striping yarns from Red Heart. This is Red Heart Super Saver. This is Bright Stripe, and this is what's the name of this Favorite Stripe. So like the regular rainbow one. Both beautiful. I actually used this yarn when I did my my Lost Souls shawl, but I felt like a lot of like the detail of like the skulls got kind of lost in the stripes. And then additionally, when I did kind of because the Lost Souls shawl is a bottom up shawl, I felt like the width of the stripe obviously would be uh, more at the bottom when I was going back and forth faster. And then as I was creating longer rows, the stripes would become shorter and I wouldn't get that top of the stripe. So what I started doing is I actually combined two balls of the neon stripe, and basically what would happen is so it would go from like yellow to green, and then at the end of the green, before it changed, I would snip it. I would do an invisible knot with the other ball, and then I would go from green to whatever, blue or whatever, and I would go through that color change, and then I would snip it, so that the stripes would be thicker, or like thickish at the top, so that it wouldn't be like mega chunks at the bottom and then like really really thin chunks at the top. So that was a really annoying project to do. So I don't really want to do anything like that. I find it also really difficult if I am doing a stitch that involves something that involves like multiple loops in one loop, if that makes sense, like a bobble or something like that. If the color changes within that bobble, it gives me the ick. I don't like it. So I have trouble trying to find like a stitch where the color change doesn't bother me as much. Then, so other yarn that I've used. So I've used the ice cream yarn before. This is the color Tiger Stripe. It's freaking gorgeous. It screams Ian is a weirdo. But I don't know how to use it. And I bought this yarn specifically because I saw a baby blanket that Bag a Day did with this particular yarn, and I was like, fuck, that's beautiful. And I love the colors, but then I get so intimidated by the color change that I don't really know how to best use it so that the color changes are highlighted in the work. So I did use ice cream yarn when I did my Pride hexagon cardigan, and I use the color cake batter, which is perfect for trans color changes. And so just going around um, and doing like the granny square pattern really was mostly fine. Again, I kind of got into that problem where if I was doing a granny cluster and the color changed in that granny cluster, I was just like, ugh. But it was manageable, but like it still was like not great. And then other things I've done with self-striping yarns. This is a longer stripe. So this is Mandala Ombre from Lion Brand. And so this is the color, I've used it so much, I should know, Pure. And so this, again, is great for trans colors. Now, there are actually multiple colors within, so it says ombre. Really, it doesn't, it's not an ombre. It's kind of, um, it's heathered, maybe like a tie-dye kind of um, dye within the yarn so that when the color changes, it's supposed to seem like softer, but it's still pretty distinctive. So what I did, so I used this yarn when I made my Pride booty shorts. Also, again, it wasn't a hexagon, but it was, it was a shape with granny squares or granny clusters. And so because I wanted to do controlled stripes, when I did that, I actually took the cake apart, and this is what I have left over from my shorts. But I actually took the colors apart. There's 4 different colors. There's a light pink, which almost looks white. There's a darker pink. There is a darker blue, a lighter blue, and darker blue. So I actually took these colors apart and did controlled striping with that. So I have this yarn that I think is so beautiful, and I have like multiple skeins of different types of yarn, stuff like that. And I just don't really know how to use it. I've seen other people use it. I'm like, that's beautiful, but I don't particularly want to do that project. But I like the yarn and the way it looks, so I don't know how to best use this yarn. So please help me. Please give me some advice, because I feel like it should be obvious, or I should just go ahead and crochet. But like when you're using a yarn that you find really beautiful, obviously you want to do a stitch that highlights the beauty of the yarn. And I feel like I really, really struggle with envisioning projects where the yarn changed stripes. So one example of yarn that I really want, that I always hesitate to buy whenever it's in stock, is like the Hirschner's Halloween yarn, because it's beautiful, it's self-striping. There are shorter stripes, and they have longer, I think they have longer striping yarn. I don't know. Hirschner's might not. But so they have their shorter striping yarn, but I don't know what I would make with it, because and I've seen people make stuff with it, like Winter makes amazing, like the little cat. Oh my gosh, they're so cute. I could die. But like it looks so good when Winter does it. But like for some reason, when I envision myself making something similar, like an amigurumi with self-striping yarn, it just it gives me such like a cringe feeling. So if anyone else out there can empathize, please let me know. And also, if you found projects that you really like using self-striping yarn with, that or like project types, because I know I could always do a blanket and just have it striped, but I don't make blankets, I make weird stuff. And so it's really hard to incorporate self-striping yarn into the kind of weird things that I make. So if you have any advice, I would really appreciate that. And I hope you enjoyed this confessional. There will be more, I hope. And we'll see how it goes. So thank you for listening, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.